to all of my beautiful humans who are listening to today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Human Beauty Movement podcast. I'm trying out a new microphone right now, and I've got a fancy new headset, so you'll have to let me know how you think that it sounds. And speaking of sound, today we are going to take a deep dive into sound frequency healing. Oh my gosh, this is one of my favorite topics. Did you know that in 500 BC, Pythagoras wrote, each celestial body, in fact, each and every atom produces a particular sound on account of its movement, its rhythm, or vibration. All these sounds and vibrations form a universal harmony in which each element, while having its own function and character, contributes to the whole. How beautiful is that? So even though many frequencies are too low for us to hear with our human ears, we do have the technology to record them. And believe it or not, the frequencies for every healthy tissue, organ, and bone in the human body has in fact been documented. And so when a body is healthy, it hums like a well-oiled machine. And when it's not, the theory is that sound is one method that can be used to restore the body back to balance. It's starting to become science, catching up to those ancient techniques and ancient wisdom that the planet always knew about. So I am so pleased to introduce you to my next guest. She is an expert on sound frequency healing. Laura Widney is the visionary founder and chief innovation officer of Soaak Technologies. That's Soaak, a health tech company with a mission to enhance overall well-being through a whole person approach. She has a background in diverse healing modalities, and she's going to talk with us today about how sound frequencies can help bring mind, body, and spirit back into better balance. Welcome, Laura.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and talk with you about all things frequencies.
I am so happy to have you here. What a perfect guest to be talking about this topic. As I was mentioning in the opening, the ancients have known about this all along, right? I mean, sound, song, chanting, incantations. Why do you think it's just that popular science is starting to finally wake up to the idea of frequency and healing?
Yes. So I loved that intro. I loved everything that you just said, because it is so true that in the past, in our ancient history, sound was a huge healing modality, as well as all things natural, because they didn't have the technology that we have now and the medicine and all the things that we have come to create from the evolution of science and all of those things that are all amazing. But they didn't have all that stuff. And so they had to rely on the things they could get from nature. And so a huge part of medicine was sound healing and sound bowls and sound baths and instruments. And even the Egyptians in the temples, they made certain rooms that had resonance. The way that they built them to where you could go and sit in the room, and it was basically like a frequency therapy you were getting. And so that was what they knew. That was what they knew worked, and it did work. And so they just utilized things in nature to help heal the body. And so I think as we evolved, we got more into technology and the use of things that we created from technology and science. But now I feel like we literally have everything we need to heal the human body, because it does take, sometimes it does take a lot of things. If you have a certain issue, it takes the mind, it takes the body, it takes the spirit, it takes physical, all those things. And we've gone off a little bit from the natural things that we can do. And so that's one reason I'm so passionate about Soak and about the frequency therapy and what we do, because it's a natural way to help get that body back into alignment without having to go down the medicine path or certain paths that might be harmful for the digestive system and have adverse side effects. So sound frequencies are just amazing. They're easy, they're fun, they're relaxing, and they really work.
When we talk about energy healing, I mean, sound is vibration, and that's really the word, the vibration, the energy, the frequency, and then the certain pitches and tones will be able to resonate within certain structures or areas or within the mind. It's funny, I was actually having a podcast a while back with an acupuncturist, Dr. Pei Chang, who was an expert in TCM. And she was talking about the fact that long time ago, before all of the technology, we were so conscious. We were so in touch with our bodies and with nature. We felt so much more symbiotic and so much more connected. And since then, since the industrial age, we've essentially become unconscious. We've become detached, and we've not necessarily recognized our connectivity to the level that we knew that we
Right.
had before, like the ancient Egyptians that you were talking about. And so all of the noise pollution, a lot of times we don't even realize the car honking, the jackhammering, all of these things are causing tension. It's causing cortisol to rise in our systems. And we don't realize why the heck we're so stressed all day. The haptics on our phones doesn't have to be a jackhammer that loud. It can be something so minute, but all of a sudden it's like, cortisol, stress. Oh my gosh, there's an alarm. There's something that I should be doing, and it's triggering me
Yeah.
into feeling a certain way.
Yeah, we're just constantly bombarded with sound. I loved what you said earlier. Every tissue, every organ, every cell of our being is made up of a certain frequency, which makes up our unique frequency blueprint. We are a frequency. Laura Widney, I am a unique frequency that nobody else is.
Mm.
Nobody else in the universe and nobody else ever has been. And so I am super unique, as we all are. And I have a makeup of all these frequencies. The heart has a very specific frequency. The skin has a very specific frequency. The eyeballs, like literally everything about us has a specific frequency, and we make up our own little blueprint of frequencies. We are just energy bodies. That is the real us, as we are energy, and we are projecting this physical being that you and I can see and touch and feel. Our energy bodies are like Velcro. So as we go through life, we're constantly bombarded with our alarms ringing on our phones, or our kids screaming in the background, or the emotion we feel when we get upset about a situation. That's a frequency.
Yeah.
So it's this constant Velcro of emotion and physical activity and actual sound going on around us that either bounces off of us because our energy is strong, or it gets attached to us because our energy is low, and we let things seep in. So that's why sound is so important and frequencies are so effective, strengthening that energy body, helping to clear out any toxic emotions or stress or anything that might be stagnant, to keep your energy body strong, almost like a shield where the outside world does not penetrate and affect you. You're conscious of it and you're aware of what's going on around you, but it doesn't actually affect you because your energy is strong and you're stable. That's just one thing that I like to live by, and I meditate on this every day, is having that shield of energy that is strong. And it's like the Chinese medicine, like acupuncture. That's a perfect example. All of our energy meridians and our energy centers need to be oscillating at a perfect frequency and flowing properly. And when that's the case, we feel great. We have energy, we're excited, we have joy, we have peace, we have all those things. And so when we let our energy get disrupted by lower vibratory frequencies, we feel depressed, we feel anxious, and we feel all those things. And so it's just really being intentional and conscious about what you're letting into your energy field and how you're protecting yourself and keeping your frequencies high.
I do want to add that for those of you who are listening to this podcast is really for information and entertainment. It's not for treating any disease or curing any kind of medical ailment. However, this information is good for you to know, because it's not like I am telling you if you are on a medicine that you should get off. You should always seek the counsel of your medical practitioner, do your own research. Nikola Tesla famously said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. If you look closely at ourselves, we are more open space than we are particle, than we are matter. We are a mixture of particle and wave. We are starting to study the impact of it. As these studies become more available, that's when I think it connects with a lot of people that might be a little bit skeptical about it and say, oh, I think that I'd rather stick with my medicine. Totally fine. We're just trying to provide proof and validation in very meaningful ways for things that the human DNA pretty much knew from the beginning, that we are energy bodies. We are born from stars. We are actual physical stardust, but we're mostly waves. We're mostly energy. And so it makes sense that sound healing is a method that could be extremely beneficial. So Laura, why don't we start talking about some of those frequencies and what they may help address?
Yes, absolutely. So for everybody who doesn't know, Soaak was born in a clinic. So we have years and years of clinical research and data and testimonials from using our frequency therapy. I started off with the clinic. I had naturopathic doctors, I had nurses, I had DOs, all different types of practitioners that were very holistic minded minded. And we had a lot of different modalities in the clinic. We had IV therapy, we had frequency therapy, we had thermography, we had just about everything. So I was really able to study the different holistic modalities that worked the best and that were the most effective and the most cost effective. And so frequency therapy was just always my favorite in my clinic because it was really effective. People would come in and do a frequency therapy treatment, sleep like a baby that night, or just feel so much better, feel like on an energetic and an emotional level, it like clears out some stagnant energy. So they would just feel better. And they're like, I didn't have to take anything. I didn't have to get stuck with a needle, like for the IVs. And I love all the other things. I still do all the other things. I love them. But the frequency therapy was just so easy and it really worked. That was when I started telling my team, we have to digitize this because at that time, they would have to actually come inside of our clinic, sit down for 20, 30 minutes, pay $50 a pop, sometimes $1,000 a month, and do the treatment. And I'm like, what about people who are having a panic attack at 1 o'clock in the morning or can't sleep? They can't go into a clinic at that time and do it. And so that was why we're like, we have to make this 24/7. We have to make this accessible. And so that's where Soaak was born. And that's how that Soaak app came to be. We took 30 of our top frequencies that we were able to really study in clinic and get a lot of testimonials and clinical data on. And those are the frequencies that you see on the Soaak app. We have everything from depression relief, anxiety relief, headache and migraine support. We've got women's hormone support for like hot flashes and mood swing type things. We have mood boost. We have male and female sexual health frequencies. We have a digestive support frequency. That one's amazing. Detox. There's just pretty much something for everybody. So whatever issue you may be having, we have a frequency for it. About the specific frequencies, they're not just one frequency per issue, because a lot of times, and this is what we found in clinic, and this is kind of our secret sauce, is sometimes if you're having digestive issues, it could be stress. It could be lack of sleep. It could be that you're allergic to gluten. It could be so many different things. And so there's not just one frequency that just did the trick. It was the frequency compositions that we created that were so powerful.
So you're essentially orchestrating a remedy based upon whatever ailment might be the primary one. In my body, I actually feel it in my stomach, or in my body, I'm feeling stress or anxiety. In my body, I'm feeling pain here or there. That's what you'd go to because that's your focal point. But behind what you're offering in any of your sessions, I'll call them, there's pretty much an orchestration, almost like a composition. How cool.
And we call them frequency compositions. That is exactly what they are. And so we had the benefit of having practitioners on the back end of all of this. And so it's not just a piece of equipment that spit out a frequency that said, oh, this is going to be good for headaches. That's not how it worked. We had practitioners that were able to give us all kinds of data on what creates a headache. What are the 10 things that make people have a headache? It could be diet and food related. It could be stress related. It could be a lot of different things. And so let's create the headache frequency with all of that in mind and make sure that if somebody just had food that they're a bit allergic to, this headache frequency is going to help calm that and help the body de-inflame itself. There was a lot that went into it, and every single frequency composition is very thoughtful and layered with all the different things that could surround that one issue. That's why they're so effective, is because it's not just putting a Band-Aid on a symptom. We're trying to really take care of that cause and why it's happening in the first place. That's why we have such great success with them. And if anybody's listening, try them when you're having something going on. Soaak is so fun to do every single day. Just do the anti-anxiety or the mood boost, or we have success frequencies. So even if you have nothing going on and you're just like, I just don't want to listen to music, I'd rather listen to something else, try Soaak. That is super fun. But if you have a headache, if you're feeling a certain way, if your stomach hurts after you eat because you ate too much or whatever, put that specific frequency on and give yourself a couple minutes and see how you feel. You feel it. You're like, oh, wow, that kind of subsided. My symptoms subsided. It's like a toolkit in your back pocket to where whatever's going on, turn on a Soaak frequency and see how it makes you feel.
So you can turn on a Soaak frequency, and it's recommended to wear headphones or ear pods when
you can actually listen to it however you want. You can do headphones, AirPods. You can play it on your Alexa device. Sometimes I just have my phone and it's on the speaker in my phone because I don't want to put headphones on. Like, just however you want to listen to it, the efficacy is the same.
Now, a lot of people might ask, what is the difference between music therapy and sound frequency healing.
Love it. That's great. So everything has a frequency behind it. Music is a perfect example and probably the best correlation that we can explain frequencies. So when you're listening to, let's say, a country song, most country songs are a little bit on the downer side, but they put you in a mood. They put you in a certain mood. Well, that is the frequency that is being omitted from that singer and from the words and from the emotions that are written into the song. It literally takes you down a path emotionally. It's the same with like a hype workout song. A song like that can actually spike your adrenaline just from the noise that's coming from the song. But it's not just the noise, it's the words that are being said, it's the passion behind the voice of the singer. Music can really move you, but music is not necessarily reliable because one verse can be upper and then the next verse is taking it down another path. And so you're like this the whole song. By the end of the song, you're crying, but you were supposed to be happy. Like, you know,
you're just confused.
Yeah, you're just confused. Yeah, exactly. So frequency therapy is more proven. It's more consistent. It is consistent.
Yeah. I was driving my son back from a doctor's appointment and his nurse was in the back seat. And all of a sudden the nurse is like, what are we listening to? Can we turn this channel off? These words, it's depressing. And I was like, oh, sorry. I had no idea.
Right,
So,
exactly.
Yeah, sometimes it just comes on and you don't even realize it.
But it
You're
does
almost being held hostage by whatever it is.
It does affect your frequency. Frequency therapy, because they are specific megahertz of sound that are meant to do specific things to the body, the mind, and the emotions, you can get a consistent result with the frequencies. Unlike a song, you could listen to the same song 10 times and feel different every time, depending on the mood you were in when you went into listening to the song. But the frequency therapy, it's consistent and it does the same thing every time. I also like to explain it like this. Our cells are oscillating at a certain frequency. That's what a frequency is it's making that cell oscillate in the wave pattern, making it oscillate at a certain frequency. So when we are out of balance or out of whack, our cells are oscillating at kind of like a chaotic frequency. Our frequency therapies are almost like a tuning fork. You hit one tuning fork and the other tuning fork will resonate at that same frequency. That's the same with our cells. So our cells hear and are listening to the Soaak frequencies, and it encourages our cells to oscillate at that frequency. It's sympathetic resonance is the way that we like to explain it. We resonate at the same frequency that we're hearing.
I think some people who might be skeptical might say, well, if you're putting a certain frequency in me and it's hitting my heart, wouldn't another frequency counteract that? How do I know that it's actually targeting what you're saying it is? Or if another frequency that's being layered on there might actually be working against?
I love that. It's a great question. One thing about our bodies is when our bodies are oscillating at a perfect frequency, nothing can change it. So even if you hear another frequency, our bodies are strong and they're oscillating. So they're in pattern, they're in the right flow. So let's say the heart is out of balance and you play the heart frequency. Only the heart is getting that frequency. It's wanting to resonate at that frequency because that is its true nature. That's how the frequencies don't necessarily mess anything up, because our bodies naturally know their frequency. They know what they're supposed to be doing. And when they hear it, they just get back in alignment. And so if it's a different frequency, it doesn't affect it because it's not the same. It's not resonance. That's what I'm talking about. Like sympathetic resonance is it's like a person. You're drawn to a certain person because you have that same frequency they do inside of you. A different person that you're completely out of touch with and do not resonate at all, you're not drawn to them at all. It kind of almost repels. We resonate at what we need, and our bodies innately know exactly what we need. And so a frequency that your body doesn't need, there's nothing that it does with it. It just only takes what it needs.
Many years ago, I was introduced to sound baths, and you're laying there and you hear the beautiful crystal bowls or the Tibetan singing bowls. And I was like, gosh, this is so relaxing. And then afterwards, I actually attended the Global Wellness Institute's summit, which was in Singapore. And there was a Gong therapist there. And she had the most incredible Gong bath. Actually, we went back for multiple because it was so powerful and so healing.
I had chills just thinking about
my gosh,
that.
it's like,
that was just amazing.
The sounds just resonate. Your whole body feels like it's shattering into bits and then coming back together. It was just the most incredible experience. If anybody has the opportunity to go to a Gong bath, I definitely recommend it because it is super, super cool. Subsequently, I went to see a sound healer who was able to study study what the frequency of your voice is, because everybody has an intonation of their voice, which becomes their quote unquote voice frequency. And he was telling me how often people would come to him after sound baths and he would have to put them back together afterwards, because he was like, their frequency wants to be a certain way. And if they're exposed to sound or other frequencies which are not necessarily jiving with them, it could cause a bit of a disconnect. And so he's like, I help them know what their frequency wants to be and give them these tools and these quote unquote prescriptions on how to get back to what they want to be, what their natural homeostatic state would be.
Right. Wow. Yeah, that's really interesting.
When I was a real newbie and I was like, well, I'd hear people say, oh, that person's such a low vibe person, or that person's such a high vibe person. I really wouldn't understand that it did correlate to actual frequencies. If you have a low vibration, or if there's illness or there's sickness, if there's depression, if those are low frequency states, aren't they?
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think especially our generation or the younger generation, everybody says those words. It's like a vibe, but they don't really understand. It's really a vibration. It's really a frequency. And so you're exactly right. When you're depressed, your frequencies are actually lowered. And I know people, and I've studied people that can read frequencies and they know what your frequency is, just like the guy you were telling me about. And so they've done a lot of studies on people that are depressed or even people that are ill. Literally, their vibration is resonating at a lower frequency. And the lower the frequency you get, the more tamasic it gets, which means the more stagnant, the more still. And we are supposed to be oscillating. We're supposed to be humming. We're supposed to be humming so quick that we could walk through walls or levitate, all those things that are possible that people have done over the years. But that's not the normal state of humans. We are more tamasic. We tend to have more of a lower vibratory frequency because our world is just so chaotic, and the news and all those things makes us a little bit more depressed. It's just kind of the world we live in. And that's one reason we created Soaak in the first place, is just to really remind people, hey, your mind is so powerful and the thoughts you think are so powerful at creating your reality. And so you can live in a very high vibratory, joyful, peaceful reality, or you can live in a very fearful, anxious reality. It is your mind that is making that. Soaak is so much more than just frequencies. We have mindful intentions, we have affirmations, we have 21-day programs. We have all of these things that help reset your thought process. So it's not just sound, although thoughts and words, affirmations, those are also frequencies. So everything's a frequency, but frequencies come in different forms. And so with Soaak, you can get it in all the different forms. You can get it in daily mindful intentions that help you remember to speak positive things over yourself, speak life into yourself every day, and set your intention that life is going to go your way and it's going to be good for you, and not just let life take you down the river of you don't know what's going on and it just happens. And so Soaak is there to remind you on a daily basis how powerful you are.
That is brilliant. And I know that when you're feeling doubt or feeling nervous, that's nervous energy, and you can feel yourself almost shaking or insecure. And it's because you're not resonating and humming at that solid vibration. Worry, all of those things which are taking you down and scattering you, taking you down a path where you just feel like you don't know what to do, you're confused, don't have clarity. Getting yourself primed and entrained into a place where little by little, introducing these frequencies, you have affirmations, you're being it until you become it. And that's why the idea of helping to incorporate and embody and get these into your mind, your body, your soul, all of these things is really very powerful. And it allows you to become the frequency that you want to be. And then, as we know, frequency attracts frequency. You'll be able to attract that kind of energy towards you. You'll be able to attract success. You'll attract that love. You'll attract that joy. You'll create this whole manifestation like an algorithm, frankly, that you'll get more of what you're wanting because you are it. So be it until you become it. Allow something like Soaak to get you catalyzed and energized into the space that you want to be. For those of you who are TCM or chakra nerds, I know that all of this relates. It all relates when you're talking about your chakras spinning in harmony with each other, of being balanced. Your root chakra vibrates and is oscillating at a different frequency than your sacral chakra, than your solar plexus, than your heart, than your third eye. And so So a lot of what Soaak is doing is also coordinating and composing to help you align your chakras in a certain way. And the interesting thing for those of you who know what the Schumann resonance is, and that's the Earth's vibration, 432, I actually learned an interesting secret tidbit, and that is that the number 432 also is very numerically powerful for those of you who are into numerology. The ancients made use of this number when they were building the Great Pyramid at Giza. So according to some sources, when the dimension of that pyramid were multiplied, it's 43,200. The resulting numbers reflect the radius of the Earth, the precession of the Earth's axis. It all has meaning. When Laura was talking about these frequency rooms in ancient Egypt, they were so much more conscientious of the power of sound, of how the numbers of the frequencies work. And they just had a way of knowing it that in modern days, we're only proving out because we're able to analyze it with powerful technology and instrumentation. It's stuff that the body knew all along. We're coming back to it, and we're harnessing the power of our modern technology to be able to serve it up to you in a very convenient way, because we live in a modern society. We can't get around that. This is our reality, but we can harness all of the things that our bodies have evolved into for all of these thousands and thousands of years and bring some of that back so that we can remember who we were.
Yes, I love that so much. And I feel like we live in the most perfect time because we have all of the ancient wisdom with the modern technology. We have it all. Like if we lived 100 years ago, we had the ancient wisdom, but we didn't have the modern technology to make it so easy like we like.
Right.
I feel like we just live in the most perfect time right now to take advantage of everything that's available to us. And there's so many amazing things and practitioners and services and everything that we can utilize to be the best versions of ourselves. So it's really getting out there and doing what resonates with you, but do something. Soak is the easiest thing to do because you just push play on your app. Like, I don't know how you can get easier than that. It's the best starting point, but let that catapult you to do something more. Go to a gym class, go to a group therapy class, continue on that self-help journey and pick the things that resonate with you and the things that you really need to get your body and your energy and your mind into total alignment where you're just operating in the flow of your life. You're not going against the grain. You're not fighting anything. You're just at peace. And so that is what you're saying earlier with that law of attraction. That is when you start attracting everything you've ever wanted and everything you didn't even know you wanted, because your energy is just high and you are attracting that same success and prosperity and abundance that you are vibrating at. Do something today for yourself that you didn't do yesterday and make it something that is a habit, because that's really the important key in changing your life, is doing things on a daily basis and being consistent, because it's just like working out. I mean, everybody knows that if you don't do it every day for a while, you're not going to really see any change. You can't just do it once a week. You have to be consistent. It's the same with food and dieting. It's the same with any kind of like mental self-help. You have to really dive into that issue until it's fixed. You have to be consistent and intentional. And so it goes with anything in your life, even relationships. If you're working on a relationship, it takes the time and the commitment and the energy until you've gotten it to where you want it to be. So just be consistent with your self-help.
My human beauty movement fans know it all starts with self-love. It all starts with that self-compassion, that grace that you give yourself. I mean, I was one of those people who, when I was a dancer, when I was like practicing piano, I would beat myself up all the time if I made a mistake. And that energy, I mean, even though I might have been doing something helpful from a physical perspective or something energizing from a body perspective in dance, my mind was working against my body. It wasn't working in harmony. Best thing that you can do is just get yourself quiet. Remember your self-love. Remember that you must be kind to yourself first. Let it start there. Build from there.
Right.
Give yourself permission to be okay with where you are at your starting level without comparing yourself to other people. And then it doesn't necessarily take a breakdown in order to get to a breakthrough. If things are going well, keep on going. You're doing great. Stack these things on top of what you're already doing, and things can go feel even better. There's no such thing as a limit to where you can go in this world. I mean, everything is infinite possibilities. Everything is just really whatever you wish for it to be. You can be it, you can become it. All of those things can come true. And I really want to just thank Laura for being here today, for providing us this wonderful gift in the Soaak app so that you can also see benefits of sound, of being able to resonate, pun perhaps intended, with with something that might be good for you. It was just such a pleasure to have you here today, Laura. Thank you so much.
Yes, this was so fun. I love the conversation and just such fun topics to talk about.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And we'll be seeing more of you, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Human Beauty Movement podcast. Be sure to follow, rate, and review us wherever you stream podcasts. The Human Beauty Movement is a community-based platform that cultivates the beauty of humankind. Check out our workshops, find us on social media, and share our inspiration with all the beautiful humans in your life. Learn more at thehumanbeautymovement.com. Thank you so much for being a beautiful human.